Hello, this is Pixie Love, and you're listening to episode 2 of She Likes It Deep podcast. 8 months later, a lot has happened in the last 8 months. The first episode I recorded was just a few months after I landed on the island, and now it feels super different for me. I'm in a super different place in terms of my energy, in terms of my balance, in feeling my rhythm here on the island. Not always an easy place to live. But when you can find your flow and the things that keep you grounded and also elevated and everything flowing nicely, then it is a really super magical place to live. But yeah, a lot has happened since then. I've had a lot of opportunities to explore different types of environments and different expressions and to live within dreams that I thought were desires. But actually, when you manifest a lot of these mind-created desires, when you actually get there, you're like, oh, okay, isn't exactly what I was thinking. So yeah, I really want to start by saying, thank you for being here, for one. Thank you for listening. The first episode that I recorded around 8 months ago was just really an introduction into She Likes It Deep podcast. But I just want to expand on that because a lot has changed. And actually, I really just want to make a point of saying that the whole purpose of everything that I create and share is to support with raising the collective frequency. And that is at the core of everything. So She Likes It Deep. The name is, of course, a play on words. And yeah, I love to be penetrated deeply by things and also by thought and perspectives and, depth in terms of going deeply into topics. And really the most passion that I feel is about the New Earth frequency and raising the collective frequency. So really my sexual expression and really owning that and stepping into that was me actually really just owning my authenticity and just owning what it meant to be me. And that can always change, by the way. But as far as I've got to at this point, sexuality is a big part of my life and my natural expression. And I know through my experience and through the channel that I connect to, that authenticity is the highest frequency that we can possibly get to, because to be authentic is also the highest form of love that you can give to yourself, to be yourself, to really own what it means to be you. So I wanted to start by saying that, and the whole purpose of this podcast is to really support people and to inspire people to just be themselves, whatever that means, however that looks. Doesn't necessarily mean that the expression is going to be the same as mine. For example, when I share ideas of how to move through things, it's always with the intention of empowering you to do that within your own energy field and with your own expression. So yes, thank you so much for listening. And I'm really happy to be now sharing from a space that feels still, I don't have everything figured out, but with so much more clarity as to what it is that I love to express and how I like to show up in the world. And this summer was really, not just the summer actually, from the moment I arrived back on the island on New Year's Eve last year up until this point, I really know also from my experiences that life is transformative wherever you are. And I know that the power of this island is for sure a catalyst for quick change, rapid change. Anything that is not in alignment is really quickly brought to the surface here on the island, and you get the opportunity to grow and to expand beyond those things. So yeah, it's pretty wild actually, all of the different things that I've experienced in the last I don't know, like 9 years. But really, I'm just focusing on the time since I landed back on the island and how that has helped me to expand beyond limitations, to take my power back, to move beyond shame. Something that I want to talk about today is shame and desire. These topics, I really feel are, really present for me in certain things and have been, and can really help us to move through and into, more authenticity. It's probably not going to come as a surprise that the majority of my experiences back on the island actually a few days after I landed back on the island, I was already doing a photo shoot, which was something that I've done modelling for a very long time. But I was in Wales. I was really still going strong with my erotic and expression with the modelling and my photo shoots, and it was really helping me to stay within myself, within my expression, and not lose myself within an environment that wasn't resonating with me. And it was just amazing. I just want to say, like, if there's anything, not everyone has the same way as me, and I am the type of person that has always taken quite drastic changes, because it's, once I get the signal that something needs to shift, it just has to shift immediately. So I left the UK super fast and with no plan, really another jump off the cliff situation, but it felt like my only option. I really gave myself basically an amount of money that I said once I manifested it, I would be gone, and then it came quickly, because I probably should have asked for more now that I know that you can dream big with the universe. But anyway, in my moment, then within 48 hours of, that moment of like, okay, I can go now, I booked the flight and I was leaving, and I came to the island with no plan to meet. I didn't have a plan at all, actually, and then connected with somebody who is now a very close friend, who picked me up from the airport, took me straight to a party. We connected super beautifully and still have a beautiful friendship now. That's how my journey started on the island. And then a few days later, I'm doing photo shoots, and I'm like, wow, really, you just have to take the leap. You have to take the step. Okay, taking leaps is not easy. Maybe you're the type of person that wants to take smaller steps than I take. Not everyone's style is my style. I am a wild card. And I always have been. When I reflect on that now, it's not a trauma response, it's just my way. Like, it's just the way that I operate and the way that works best for me. Like, once I can see the shift, it's like, okay, let's go. And then my focus is on that. So, I just want to say also, there's not one way to do things. And just because somebody, a reflection that maybe you admire or that inspires you does something in one way, that's their blueprint. We all have super unique blueprints, and you literally can't replicate somebody else's blueprint or design or expression, because we're all getting to this frequency of authenticity. Like, there is really, I can see the different timelines, I can see the different frequencies. We all also have our own unique frequencies within that, but I can see the different options that we have available at the moment collectively, and how expanded frequencies can access different things, but we're all going to the same place of authenticity. So I just wanted to say that your way is your way. A mi manera in Spanish, love that phrase. It's a restaurant also, and I was like, what does that mean? And it means my way. It means my way, actually. So my way. And we all have our own way, and it's all about honouring our own ways and about inspiring each other through our own blueprints to activate our own blueprints. And it's not always a mirror reflection, but sometimes other people's expressions can help. So probably no surprise that when I landed back on the island, it was straight into my modelling, and then very quickly, so I moved 7 times in 2025, and 2026 is going to be one move, and that's fucking it. because this cat needs to settle, and I have so many projects now that I've been working on so consistently for a long time, and I have stability in my base now, but there's just a different level of material abundance that is here to support my projects and which will help to take my projects to the next level. And that includes having a big space where I can invite people in, and where the frequency alone is enough to transform, but also I can offer people access to the resources that really supported me to expand into this beautiful frequency that I live in, and that sometimes feels a little lonely because it can be a lonely game, finding yourself and removing all of the external distractions to find clarity in your channel and at 0 point. But you're never alone, and when you truly learn to enjoy your own company and to flourish within your channel, because I have access to that when people are around, but I really have a deep gratitude for the space that I have been given to really tap into my channel and to build these things that I've been building without distraction and within my own energy field. So thank you. Always good to be present with the things that you're grateful for, even though sometimes the journey is super challenging. But that is, in my case, what has given me a lot of strength and a lot of opportunities to take my power back. So I quickly landed my first experiences this year of being in like sex parties, and the season for me started in a swingers party, a luxury swingers party, which was invited to with a friend. And my summer, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail, but my summer kind of continued into different environments within the sex scene. Never really the tantric scene, more kind of, more bold. Sex scene, and wow, what an explorative summer I have had in being in spaces that felt completely unnatural for me because of my conditioning and the way in which I was brought up, but so aligned with my natural essence. Like my sexuality is very present, and that essence of sexiness has been something that I've felt my whole life. Even on my down days, I always felt that energy of sexy, you know? So yes, back to the point, because sometimes I miss the point. Wow, suddenly I'm in these environments that are so open. Like they initially was so triggered to go to my first swingers party and to go to the playroom and to experience people fully going for it. And I'm like, whoa, like I've never been, although it's an environment that now feels very natural for me and feels very in alignment with my natural essence, to be in that space and just to observe what was going on. It actually took me 3 times to feel comfortable enough to stay in the playroom. And then at that point, I was fully clothed, kneeling on the floor, eyes closed, nobody touching me, no interaction with anyone. And suddenly I started to have a full body orgasm for like what felt like, I don't know how long it was because I was in a bliss state, but it felt like 10 minutes of total Kundalini activation. My whole body rippling in pleasure, groaning, just simply from feeling the essence of pleasure, of orgasm, of that kind of sexual interaction around me. I couldn't see anyone, but I could hear, I could feel, I could sense that essence. And yeah, my whole body was completely alive. And then I didn't leave the playroom all night. But it was enough for me to know that the essence of what was happening in the room is enough to activate me. It wasn't necessarily the space wasn't necessarily giving me the desire to connect as such, but just to be around that kind of energy where people are so free, expressive. There's no boundaries. Well, there's boundaries, but there's no kind of limits in what can be expressed. Of course, there's always boundaries. But I mean, in terms of expression and how you could show up in the space, that was completely open and often is. Every party that I've been to has been completely different. But generally the kind of the essence of the party is one of liberation. And that for me is so sexy because you can just be yourself and nobody's going to judge you. Everyone's there to do the same thing, to be themselves too. Wow, if that doesn't sell to you to explore within these types of environments, if that's something that you feel called to, then I don't know what will, because it was a really amazing experience for me. And every single party or event that I went to this year in that kind of scene, which I went to a lot of, I even worked at one. I went to a lot of different types of ones. Everyone was completely different, and people have asked me for some insight on my experiences within that world and what are the parties like. And really, it depends on who's hosting the party, where the party is, who's invited, like all of these things. The person hosting, often for me, one of the key things is the person hosting the party and the person hosting the playroom. And what I've observed from my experiences, from my personal preferences, we don't all have the same preferences, but I'm all about depth and connection. So for me, I feel a lot safer and more comfortable when there's a female presence within the team that's kind of organized or hosting the event, or if I can feel that essence of femininity. Because a lot of these spaces can be very masculine heavy. And for me, that doesn't always feel safe. I can feel safe within those environments, but I don't always feel the same capacity to open up and to let go within a space that hasn't got quite as much female presence or softness. And that's just my personal preference. That's just what I've observed from the parties that I've been to. Wow. I had a vision actually that this episode was going to be all about these experiences. And now that it's flowing, I'm really, really happy to be talking about these things, because I feel like there's so much taboo around this topic, and probably not so much on the island, like when you live here, or maybe other places too, but I can only say from my experiences here, because that's the only environments that I've entered into in that kind of context is on the island. There's a lot of stuff going on this hedonistic island. It has been that way for a long time, so it's not new to it's not even taboo to have that type of thing going on here. But from where I'm from, and I talked briefly in my last episode about where I'm from and the environment having had an impact on me and how I expressed. Yeah, I know that there's a big kind of swinging scene in London, but in Wales, like, for example, I've never heard of anything like that before. I have no idea what it would be like in Wales, but like, it's really rare, you know, like it's really rare to have those types of environments, I think, or maybe I never explored. But yeah, here is different. So, I really this year have tapped into the why behind all of my choices, even in the moments where I say yes to a party or to be in an environment example. And then when I have to go through a cleansing process after the event, of course, I am grateful that the event gave me an opportunity to face whatever shadow was in there that I needed to see. But once you bring awareness to those things, it is important to start changing the why behind your choices. So in my experience, for example, when I had moments of loneliness over the summer, which did happen, and which I think we all sometimes experience moments of loneliness, then sometimes an opportunity would pop up to go to something which I would perceive as probably better than being on my own in the house. And on every occasion, it's like what I'm getting to here is that the reason for me saying yes was because I was maybe bored, I was lonely, I was in the house on my own, I wanted to do something. And in every case, when I made the choice from that place, it ended up in me having to go through a cleansing process to eliminate the energy from my body that I'd accumulated from making a choice that was not based on love. Because, when you honor your energy and your worth, then you know that you're always in the right place at the right time. And often being in your own space is what you need. You never make those choices from the wrong place anymore because you understand the energy needs to be clean for the experience to be clean. But in my case, of course, I accept that I had things I needed to see. So what the environment have taught me is that desire can come from multiple places. Desire in the future, for example, based on a concept or a fantasy or a vision or an imagination of something, is not always, well, in my case, usually isn't what you were expecting, because it's based on expectation. It's based on the future. It's not present. It's creating out of the now. And it usually comes with a lesson. And I really learned that over the summer. I really learned to practice discernment with connections, to ask questions, to ask very simple questions. I know now from my experiences with people that actually, if you ask one or two very simple questions, you'll very quickly get to the essence of the person that's in front of you. Often what happens when desire takes over is that we don't want to ask the questions because we don't want to hear the answers. And we want to do what we want to do, even though we know that deep down it's not fully in alignment. We're going to do it anyway, and then we're going to receive the lesson. And then it's really important to learn from that lesson and to expand beyond what it was that was showing you. And in my case, it was wanting connection, wanting intimacy, not fully understanding what intimacy I wanted in that moment. And of course, these reflections helped me to get to that point. I wanted to be around people, I guess. And actually, what this year has really shown me is that even though I love to be on my own, and I'm grateful that I've had so much time in solitude to really do the work and to channel all of this amazing stuff, something that we naturally crave as humans, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing to do with an attachment style, is community, is having people around us. And we're not actually designed to be so on our own, although I love to be on my own, and I do require a lot of space because my channel is so open, and the way in which I create, I do love to have a lot of space to do that and to be in my own energy, but also to have community around was probably the basis of a lot of my choices and why I was going to things that probably weren't fully in alignment, just because I wanted to be around people. Wowee. It feels so nice to talk and to flow and to, not having had to plan this podcast, although I've been putting a lot of energy into thinking about what I wanted to say and what the message was for a long time. My experiences, I know and I feel that life is all about experiences. And when we cram a lot of experiences into our lives, it's super important to take the time to let things land in the body, to reflect, to integrate all of the things that we've learned and that we can see, and take time to actually put them into creations that are valuable and that can help other people to expand too. And finally, I think the final thing that I would like to say about the sex parties that I experienced this year and all the different types of interactions is how powerful they are in creating opportunities to express boundaries. Boundaries is something that I didn't know anything about as a child. There were no boundaries in my house. Like, you know, like you to have a boundary would have been seen as something, I don't know if it would have been disrespectful or to kind of hold space for myself as a child. Like it just felt very, I've been expressing boundaries for a long time now with family, friends, and gradually, but I feel like it changes over the years in terms of you realize all the ways in which you didn't have boundaries before. And these parties, these sex parties, to go into this space, knowing who you are, what you like, what you don't like. These are things that I've learned through those experiences, by the way, what I like, what I don't like, what's okay for me, what's not okay for me. Then having the power to stand in those boundaries really for me is the safest space that you can enter into an environment like that. Because when you know how to hold yourself within these environments, you know how to hold yourself within any environment. And also it keeps you in a space that, is regulated, I guess, especially going into environments that are probably or possibly new, and you're exploring within different things. And for me, I was present in a lot of different spaces that felt probably not as clean, not as safe, but because I felt so strong in my boundaries, I felt safe within these environments anyway. That's not to say that I would go into those environments that didn't feel quite as safe in the future. I felt like 2025 was really market research for me to understand what environments that I want to be sharing my energy in and the ones that I don't. Really everything is an opportunity. Even the experiences that we have that aren't in alignment, they still offer something. They're in alignment in that moment. So the whole thing for me is we're always in alignment with something. That something is the key thing. And for me, it's all about getting in alignment with your most authentic and natural essence, the least conditioned version of you, the non-conditioned version of you, actually, just the pure essence of you. Yes. Wow. Amazing. So, similar to the last episode, I'm going to just focus on a few questions that I received through Instagram. And one of them was from Yamaya, who's a beautiful Colombian lady, very inspiring, who I met on the island through a friend of mine this summer, and who we've stayed connected through social media, and somebody who I find really supportive in popping up, giving little words of inspiration here and there. So I'm really super grateful for that. Thank you. And thank you for the question. The question is around the connection between creative and sexual expression. And that's just such an amazing question because it's so relevant for what I'm talking about also in terms of sexuality and creativity. A lot of my work over the years, which has helped me to step more into my creative channel, is womb healing and sexual healing and becoming empowered in my sexual expression. And when I started to express myself sexually with my videos and my photos, wow, the surge of energy that I would receive having expressed, but not just expressed by creating the video or the photo, then gone the next level to expressing it publicly with people who I wanted to see, with an audience. For example, a lot of my work, my expression is shared through my Instagram. And wow, just alone sharing it, but also then experiencing the whole range of emotions of the expression. It feels amazing to express, and then the courage and the confidence to actually share that expression. And then the moments afterwards that kicked in for me, for sure, maybe not the same for everyone, but of shame, of thinking, what would people think? And, really just obsessing over, like, oh my God, like I put myself out there fully in my expression, and then having the capacity to let go of that. I would feel this insane surge of energy in my yoni, like in my creative channel, would then come through. Like there's this empowerment from being authentic. Like for me, it just makes perfect sense to express myself sexually and then to harness the energy that I feel through that expression for my other creations. This is what my whole, probably not 6 years quite, but a long time of really tapping into this clean energy within the womb space, the yoni, kundalini active, and then channeling that energy and learning actually how to channel that energy, not always into the act of sex or for self-pleasure, but also just to hold the energy and then to feel it coming into other creations is just like, wow. It's something that I truly feel everyone needs to experience, that level of yumminess, because it's so juicy. And for me, with so much fire, it's taken me actually a long time to learn how to harness that energy in a way that feels healthy and regulated and focused, and not be like, go crazy with it, because that for me was the case for a long time. So, my God. Thank you so much for the question. And then I have 3 questions, which I would kind of like to answer together because they're all kind of similar. I'm going to read them first. One of them is from Ahmed. The other 2, I don't remember who they're from because I made lots of notes about recording this podcast and I haven't written next to them who they're from. But I'm going to read first the questions, and there's 3 questions and I'm going to answer them all with the same response because it makes sense to do that. The first question from Ahmed is, how did you achieve this confidence and aura? And then the other 2 questions, which I'm going to include in the answer what brought you to this level of openness and exploration within your authenticity? And what helped you to expand beyond judgments and perceived limitations? All of these questions, they are more or less asking the same thing. My journey of deepening self-exploration and really unraveling what it meant to be me started a really long time ago, and I have worked with multiple modalities which have helped me to remove the layers, peel back all of the conditions, the limitations, self-judgment through my own explorations. They've really helped me to get to a place where I have practiced feeling confidence in my expression, in the way that I show up, and the way that I feel comfortable in expressing. And I touched on this in my first episode, so I guess we're just circling back. Every time that you show up within your authentic expression, regardless of your concerns over what people are going to think, you become more and more comfortable and confident in showing up as that person. If the person you've been expressing for most of your life is super different to the person that you are authentically, then it can feel pretty scary to present yourself in a way to people who knew you as somebody else. It's like this whole process of becoming and then reintroducing yourself to people closest to you is, I guess, what takes most courage, because what happens over the years is people get used to knowing a version of you that they've created in their mind, and there may be a million versions of you a different version of you to every different person, most likely. So to then really devote practice and different ways of taking away all of the conditions that made you act in a way that wasn't truly you. The more that you do that, the more you step into your authenticity, the more that you show up in that with your external reflections, the more confidence you get. It's a building process. It doesn't happen overnight. And also it's really about addressing everything, not just the things that you think you may be blocked in. Energetically, within our systems, everything is connected, the voice to the womb and everything. Without going into super detail about all of that stuff, it could be that you're blocked in one area and it's stopping you from moving into a more authentic expression in another area of life. It's like this whole self-exploration process that gradually, when you commit and devote to that process, you get closer and closer to your essence, with every practice, with every perception, with every lesson, with every experience. Really putting myself into environments that felt uncomfortable was something that helped me to move past the fears that maybe I thought were there. Often fears are created by the mind. And when we step into these environments, we actually realize that our capacity is far greater than maybe we thought it was. Yes, it's all about owning it. It's all about knowing who you are, owning it, and having the confidence and the courage to step into that. These are things that you have to keep showing up in. And it's like practice makes perfect. The same as when I started expressing boundaries or truths or that kind of thing with connections. When I first started doing it, I feel like maybe I created a little bit more damage because I just didn't know how to express openly to somebody something so deep. But the more that I practiced doing that and creating safer spaces for myself to do that, the easier it has become, and the more embodied it becomes. The more you practice something, the more embodied it becomes when you repeat it. And you also have to embody your natural essence, because when we've been conditioned